Good morning to you. This is Talk Breakfast with me, Julia Hartley-Brewer. The time is 8:50. I've got an absolutely fascinating guest in the studio for you right now. Her name is Dr. Almut Gadow, and she's a law lecturer. Well, you were a law lecturer before you got sacked by the Open University for the gross misconduct, obviously, of questioning the gender identity requirements on the curriculum of the law students you had to teach. Good morning to you. You will be a hero, I'm sure, to an awful lot of our audience today for this, because you have put your career, your neck on the line. Your heinous crime as a law lecturer at the Open University was to do what?
To question new requirements to indoctrinate my students with gender identity belief, essentially.
Now, you're a law lecturer. What on earth has gender identity got to do with what you were doing as a job anyway?
You may well ask, and that was the question that I asked my managers, and they couldn't really give me an answer to it, beyond telling me that including this in the teaching of law would achieve broader objectives of liberating the curriculum.
Excellent. Liberated the curriculum, right, we've got a clue there. And so what exactly were they asking you to teach that you object to teaching?
Well, it was generally taking every opportunity to sort of weave the critical social justice ideologies into our teaching, in particular things related to gender. So I had to teach students, for instance, to use offenders' preferred gender.
So in the case of a court case, yes, a rapist, for instance, said I'm a trans woman, would have to be referred to as she and her.
Oh, absolutely. So it's she penetrated me with her penis. Otherwise, you're being disrespectful.
Deep science.
Yes.
And how many genders were people taught there were?
Actually, management weren't able to tell me how many.
It wasn't
genders
two, though.
No, it definitely wasn't two. So, for instance, we had a scenario of somebody who, quote, identifies as gender neutral.
Not a thing. Not a thing.
That was actually my understanding. I asked my managers where they got that from. I didn't really get a response beyond being told that we had to have people who identify as gender neutral in order that all students see themselves reflected. So
you were also told that your posts on a forum online on gender identity were serious insubordination, that your comments on gender identity, on paedophilia, on sex offending were judged. There was serious bullying and harassment. Who were you bullying? What, paedophiles? Is that a bad thing?
I'm not entirely sure whether bullying paedophiles is a bad thing or not. They weren't too clear about that either. I think the argument was that anybody who knows anybody who has a queer gender identity might feel upset by it, and this needs to be a safe space for people who identify as queer or know somebody who is queer.
Okay, I still never worked out what that is. It was a horrible homophobic slur as I was growing up, not a word I would use. I mean, this is the thing. So your crime, for which you have lost your job.
Yes. Okay,
you have lost your job. You're paying your mortgage, putting food on the table. You lost your job. You're for the crime of understanding biology. That's basically it, and refusing to lie.
Essentially, well, I wasn't even particularly arguing in favour of biology. I just said, can you clarify? A, what exactly do we mean here? And B, where are we getting it from? And C, why is it relevant in the teaching of criminal law?
The most worrying thing here is you say that there's some in the law department treated this thing called minor attraction. As people, men and women who are sexually attracted to children, we call them paedophiles. They call them minor attracted persons. It was just simply part of diverse sexualities and gender identities that exist. That's kind of not how most of us see it.
Well, I don't know for a fact whether they saw it like that or not. They did set a task that unproblematically included a sexual relationship between an adult and a minor. And of course, this is in a context where we're seeing a growing body of academic literature that talks about minor attracted person as just another sexual orientation and as a very oppressed queer group. So I asked, when you're telling me to be inclusive of all sexualities, do you mean all sexualities to include those who now describe themselves as minor attractive, or are we still exclusive?
Sorry, but this is genuinely terrifying. I really find this unbelievably scary, and this is the sort of stuff, again, that people like Graham Linehan have lost their jobs for, as a comedian, and has been fighting against. You lost your job. You are now bringing an employment tribunal, quite rightly. You've also got to fund it. So you've got a crowd justice crowdfunder to raise £70,000 to bring that employment tribunal. I will be very happy to contribute to that, and I imagine a lot of my audience will bring justice. What is the lesson here for you, for anyone else?
Well, what's the lesson here? That's a good question.
Play along, lie?
Well, the lesson is that you always have to make a choice whether you want to enter a Faustian pact for the sake of your career, or do what your conscience tells you and pay the price if you have to.
Well, I, for one, just absolutely in awe of people like you who actually are willing to pay the price and stand up for reality, stand up for facts, stand up for truth, and stand up for children, for women, for everybody. So, I mean, I thank you, and I'm very, very sure my audience will feel the same way as well. I really appreciate you coming in, Dr. Almut Gadow, and we will certainly keep in touch on that. And I'll retweet her crowd funder just so you get an opportunity. If you do, I'm bringing in James Hill listening to that. I mean, people, we constantly hear of the Owen Joneses. Well, there is no such thing as cancel culture. Here it is in person.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like an extraordinary case.
Except it's not.
Well, yeah, of course, I know, and talking to you and hearing your story, it's terrible, and I think it shows a number of things, one of which is how a sort of activist agenda is undermining traditional subjects like law. Another thing, very, very worrying, is this, the spread of minor attraction, theory into...
it's just normal, it's just a perfectly normal thing.
Very deeply, deeply disturbing, and even more so than the rest of it, which is obviously very, quite chilling. Yeah. This in particular seems very, very...
I mean, this is...
worrying.
It is, when we use the phrase Orwellian, it's an overused phrase, but my God, it really does apply in these circumstances where people are basically being punished, losing their jobs, losing their livelihoods and their reputations for simply stating the truth. Just stating the truth. When truth has that much power, something is going very, very strangely wrong. Big thanks to you for coming in, Dr. Almut Gadow. Big thanks to James Hill joining us all this morning. Plenty more coming up. More on Lucy Letby. Going to get your calls on as well. This is Talk Breakfast.